How you doing, folks? This is Chef Kevin. Tonight I'm making pork tenderloin masala. Now you've probably heard of chicken masala, and there's also a veal masala, but tonight I'm going to be using pork. These are my pork tenderloins here. I'm not going to be using all of that. That's quite a lot of meat. I had to buy 2 of them in the package. So I'm going to come up with some other pork dishes in the next couple of days. Have some recipes in mind. The other ingredients are crimini mushrooms. I prefer to use a dark mushroom so it blends into the sauce a little bit better. I have some cilantro. This will give it a nice earthy taste, and I'll use that as garnish as well. I have the usual salt and pepper, the 2 most common spices in the world. I have some herb de Provence. This is a dry mix of oregano, thyme, marjoram, and a little lavender. That'll go well with the pork. I have oil and butter. That'll be used to saute the pork in. I have some chicken stock here. That'll be used as the sauce. I have some tomato paste. Now this will give it some acidity, and it'll also darken up the sauce. Okay, the only 2 items left is the red wine, a dry red. And of course it wouldn't be masala without the masala. Masala sauce was created in Sicily, and it's on the sweet side, but it's full of flavor. So there's a lot of ingredients here, but shouldn't be intimidated. This is actually a fairly easy dish to make. So right now I'm going to go ahead and prep the pork. I'll show you how that's done. So here is one of the pork tenderloins, and let's take a look at it. Okay, it's boneless, of course. And the first thing that we have to do is remove the silver skin or the silver siding off the tenderloin, because that is very chewy and you don't want to eat that. So the best way to do it is take a boning knife and just get in there. Try not to take off too much meat. Depending upon the supplier, some will have hardly any silver sides, some will have a lot. This is about average, I would say, though. Piece of bone right there. Take that out. Okay, I'm going to cut these in about 2-inch pieces. Okay, what I'm going to do now is flatten it out. I'm going to use a hammer, a mallet, seasoning mallet, tenderizing mallet, I should say. And I'm going to pound it out so it's about 3/8 of an inch thick or so. I don't want to make it too thin. And this is what you have to do with any type of masala. The meat is a cutlet, which is a thin piece of meat. So that's just about it. So I'm going to finish these off, and then I'm going to start seasoning them. Okay, I have 5 pieces here that have been pounded out, nice and thin, but not too thin. I'm going to go ahead and season them up. Pepper, salt, herbs de Provence, the other side, of course, herbs de Provence, black pepper, sea salt, salt is a food enhancer, flavor enhancer. Okay, I have some regular flour here, and what I'm going to do basically is just coat it in flour, shake off the excess. If you have too much flour, the flour could burn. Now the flour will also contribute to the thickness of the sauce. And you want the sauce to be not too thick and not too thin. It's not supposed to be an overly thick sauce. Okay, that's it. I'm going to finish prepping my vegetables, and then I'm going to saute that off. Okay, I'm all set up here, folks. Tablespoon of butter. Some oil. A couple of tablespoons of oil. I'm going to let the water evaporate from the butter. When there's no bubbles, that's the time to go. I don't want to burn the butter though. Okay, you can see most of the foam has subsided. I don't want to get that brown burnt butter though. Okay, I have my pieces here. Pork tenderloin. I'm going to put the larger pieces in the center, that's where most of the heat is. And then the smaller pieces will go on the outside. Okay, this won't really take all that long, about 3 or 4 minutes. I just want to get a nice little color on it. Now you don't want to cook this on a very high heat, especially if it's veal, because that will toughen it up immensely. I have my 3 pieces of garlic chopped fine. I have my crimini mushrooms. I washed them, de-stemmed them, and sliced them into 1/4-inch pieces. So this is going to go quick. Give this a few minutes and be right back. It's been 3 minutes. Let's take a look. Okay, they have some nice color on it. That's what I'm looking for. Now, not only does the flour thicken up the sauce, but it also adds a good amount of flavor because you're like toasting it, you're roasting it, you're getting that nuttiness taste of the flour into the meat. Okay, I'll give this just a couple more minutes, then I'm going to start adding my veggies. Okay, I have a nice sear on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic. 3 cloves of garlic. My mushrooms, this is a good 2 cups of mushrooms. I have 1.5 cups of chicken stock. Now that chicken stock was heated up. You don't want to put a cold stock into a hot pan, because that way, if you do that, you'll decrease the cooking temperature within the pan. Go ahead and add a little bit more salt, because there's a lot of mushrooms in there. There's a lot of stock. Lower that down. Going to add some tomato paste. This will give it a nice color, and it'll give it some acidity. Going to go ahead and add some Cabernet Sauvignon. That's about 1/3 cup. Going to go ahead and add the masala. Let me see here. That was 2/3 cup of masala. It is supposed to be masala sauce, so okay, I'm just going to mix this up a bit. Smells so good already. Okay, I'm going to put a lid on this and let it steam for about 5-6 minutes, and then I'm going to add the parsley. Okay folks, here's the deal. I believe the pork is cooked, so I'm going to pull it out and reserve that. My sauce is not quite as thick as I would like, so I'm just going to turn the heat up a bit and reduce that. That'll thicken it up a bit. And then I'll put the pork back in just to warm it up. Okay, the sauce has been simmering, or boiling actually, uncovered. I'm trying to reduce it just about there. So I wasn't quite happy with the consistency of the sauce, so I'm trying to make it thicker. And I just had a little bit of a flashback when I was in culinary school. The chef instructor asked the class, what's the difference between a chef and a cook? So I felt like making a wisecrack, and my answer was $5 an hour. Okay, it didn't quite go over well, but anyway, the answer was a cook cooks, but a chef can think. So you have to realize how to get out of certain situations. Parsley in. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, now what I'm going to be doing is called polishing the sauce. I have a couple of pieces of cold butter, and it has to be cold because this way it'll emulsify slower. And what this does is it gives a nice little sheen to the sauce, and it'll also thicken it up as well. This won't take too long, a couple of minutes. Smells so good. Turn the heat off. Let that butter emulsify slowly. This is not diet food tonight, folks. Okay, I'm happy with that. The next thing to do is to plate it, and we can critique it. Okay, your pork masala is served. This is pork tenderloin masala, and I'm serving this tonight with white rice, which is very traditional. You can serve it with noodles as well, or mashed potatoes, whatever you like. I have some broccoli that has been blanched. By blanched, that's a very quick method of cooking. You just basically put them into a pot of boiling water for a few seconds. You don't want to overcook the vegetables or any type of food, because that way you lose the flavor and the nutrition the longer you cook it. Now I like to serve my broccoli with a wedge of lemon just to liven it up a bit. So let's go ahead and deconstruct this a bit. Okay, we start with the broccoli. Broccoli is one of the healthiest vegetables you can eat. Nice and crunchy. I think a lot of people may be turned off about broccoli because, like, when I was growing up, my parents just cooked the hell out of broccoli. And it was just mush. The rice, well, the rice is good. Rice is rice. It's very, I'm not going to say it's very, but it's al dente, which I prefer. So let's take a look at the masala. As you can see, there's plenty of gravy, plenty of mushrooms. I can really taste the masala sauce. It's very tender. I think the herb de Provence really came through on this meal. This is cooked, but it's definitely not overcooked. That is so good. And I just garnish it with a little extra parsley on top. Okay folks, so that's basically it. Pork tenderloin masala. Now if you think I'm a half decent chef and if you think I know what I'm talking about, give me a thumbs up, perhaps subscribe. I have some other pork dishes coming down the line since I have another tenderloin to deal with. Okay, I have to finish my meal. You'll have to excuse me.